This is an aimbot. It allows you to automatically aim and fire at other players with the simple push of a button. If you pay more money for a cheat, you can use a debug camera to fly inside other players' bases, or you can even see what weapons and equipment other players have from a distance. And it's just a few of the many ways people cheat in Rust. But why do they do this? How do these cheats actually work? And is it possible to block all these cheats in Rust? In today's video, I'll try to answer all these questions. But first, make sure to hit that like button below, subscribe to the channel, and check out Rust Clash. Rust Clash is a platform in the Rust community, known for their case battles and a bunch of different game modes, where you can face off against other players in intense PvP openings. They also have a bunch of different game modes, like Tiles, Plinko, Mines, Crash, and the classic Upgrader, each with their own style and pacing. Whether you're uncovering tiles, watching the multiplier climb, or chasing a 10,000x Plinko ball, there's always action. And now, let's get back to the video. First, we need to agree on what actually counts as cheating. If you think cheating is only about using some nasty software, you're wrong. Cheating or gaining an unfair advantage over other players can mean a lot of things, especially if we're talking about Rust. Sometimes you can achieve an unfair advantage just by using bugs or glitches that existed in the game, and you can find this type of video on my channel as well. For example, you can build a base in the air or see through some textures around the map. You don't need any external tools or software for this. You're just abusing game mechanics or features that the developers aren't actually aware of. But it might still get you banned from the server you played on. If the bug is too serious, you might even get a bug ban on your Steam account. But the chances of that happening are very low. However, after the latest update in Rust, the community found a really overpowered exploit that lets any player use the admin panel on official servers. Basically, this allowed you to remove water, grass, trees and buildings, so you could check what was inside other players' bases. I decided not to show this bug on my channel on purpose, as I felt it was no better than using actual cheats like wallhack or aimbot. And you know what? As soon as the bug was fixed, the YouTubers who exposed it got contacted by the developers. I won't show all the details, but Facepunch told them to delete the video, or else they would get a copyright claim. On the one hand, I understand the developers, but on the other hand, I think it's wrong to make threats like that. After all, they were the ones who made that mistake and released the update, so they're the ones to blame, not the YouTubers. If you think the same, let me know in the comments. I'd be really interested to know what you think about the situation. Anyway, now we know that using all these bugs and exploits is the easiest way to gain an unfair advantage. But nowadays, cheating is much more centered around the use of outside software that modifies the way how the game works. The information I'm about to share is in no way intended to encourage anyone to take action. I simply want to show what cheaters are capable of in this game, and what honest players might come up against. There are three main types of cheats in Rust. The first and most harmless are bots. They are mainly used by huge clans that take this game really seriously. For example, you can buy a bot that will automatically farm sulfur, metal or wood on its own without any assistance from you. All you have to do is create a new Steam account and buy Rust. Then launch the game using cloud services, run the program that activates the bot, give this bot a jackhammer and just wait. For Facepunch statistics, this is just a usual player. But in reality, it's an AI bot that does one specific task for the clan, so it's almost impossible to detect it. Another type of bot is a fishing bot. This tool automates the fishing process, allowing clans to earn a huge amount of scrap without spending a single minute of their time on it. This is the most harmless types of cheats, as it doesn't affect other players in any way. On the contrary, it might even help them, because if you catch the farming AI bot, you will get a lot of resources for free. Next, we have all kinds of scripts and macros, and this thing is way more serious. The real OG players will remember the legendary Bloody Mice with built-in macros, which let you create custom scripts that completely disable recoil in-game. That's why the Bloody and A-footage mice have been permanently banned in Rust since December 2019. But nowadays, you can buy custom scripts for any mouse and any weapon. What's more, you can even adjust how the recoil feels. You can either completely disable recoil and fire all your bullets at a single point, or adjust the recoil to a minimum to make it look as realistic as possible. But the worst part is that these scripts are really hard to detect with any anti-cheat, and some players take advantage of this, claiming that scripts aren't actually cheating. And as far as I know, quite a few streamers and YouTubers use this kind of assistance. So the next time you see those crazy highlights from streamers, think twice, is that really their skill? And finally, we have ESP cheats, or extrasensory perception. This is the most terrible and dangerous type of cheats. This includes absolutely everything imaginable: fly hack, speed hack, debug camera, aimbot, trigger bot, spin bot, wall hack, and many other terrible things. However, there are two bright spots here. First of all, these cheats are mostly sold for money, and not a small amount. So you can't just go to some random website and download one for free. Second, these cheats are quite easy to detect, both by the in-game anti-cheat and by the server-side anti-cheat. And don't forget about the server admins, who are always keeping an eye on all players. And any player who just flies around the map or climbs walls will be banned very quickly. Why someone would use these cheats generally comes down to two factors: ego and profit. When it comes to ego, you mostly find people who lack the skill to be good at the game. To compensate for this, they end up downloading programs from shady forums on the internet, sometimes even paying for them to make themselves feel better than they actually are. They basically do this just to prove that they're worth something. When it comes to profit cheaters, it's a completely different story. Profit cheaters can be both the ones who create these cheats and the ones who use them for profit. And when I say profit, I don't just mean real money, I also mean an in-game advantage. If you look at Rust, you can see that the game has an average of over 100,000 people playing it every day. If the cheat people want to buy costs only $10 a month, for example, that can quickly turn into massive amounts of money for its maker, even with the tiny percentage of players using it. But let's be realistic. In Rust, the price of a cheat can run into the hundreds of bucks, so it's really a gold mine. On the other side, we have huge clans who replace real life with Rust. For them, it is absolutely essential to gain the maximum advantage over all competitors. And the only way to achieve this is to buy cheats for several players in the clan. Even if they get banned, it's not a big deal, since they can always be replaced by other players. Now that you know what types of cheats exist in Rust, I'll try to explain how they work on the software level, and whether it's possible to block them. There are three main types of cheats in all games: internal, external, and DMA cheats. An internal cheat is a type of hack that's directly injected into the game's running process memory, typically as a dynamic link library, or DLL. It has full memory access, meaning it can directly read, write, and change memory. Thanks to this memory access, this cheat will enable you to exploit features such as fly hack and speed hack. An external cheat is an exe file that runs as a separate, independent process from the game itself. Unlike internal cheats, which are injected directly into the game's memory, external cheats interact with the game from the outside by using Windows API functions to read game data through your RAM and modify it. This allows this program to make a window overlay and draw the visuals on it, for example, a wall hack. A DMA, or a direct memory access, is a very expensive and the most advanced way of cheating. This method uses a PCIe card to read and write game memory, bypassing the CPU and all security measures. By using a second PC to process the stolen memory data, DMA cheats provide undetectable features like wall hack and aimbot that remain hidden from anti-cheat software. To put it more simply, you just run a cheat on a second PC or a laptop, and this DMA card translates the cheat to your main PC via USB port. Now you know all the different types of cheats and how they work. And the last question we need to answer: is there any way to block all these cheats? Well, the short answer is Unfortunately, it's not possible. Even if you have the strongest game anti-cheat, server anti-cheat, and enable all security features on your motherboard that detect all the devices you're using, it's still possible to bypass all of these. Yes, it's gonna cost a lot of money. You'll need a second PC, a VPN, special software, the cheat itself, and a bunch of other stuff. But if someone wants to cheat, nothing will stop them. However, the developers are doing everything they can to minimize the number of cheaters, and we should respect them for that. In my opinion, the idea of premium servers is simply genius. Yes, this doesn't affect the anti-cheat system, but when you play on these servers, you'll come across far less cheaters, which is really great. If you have any ideas on how to reduce the number of cheaters in Rust, please write them in the comments below. Maybe we'll come up with some genius plan that Facepunch will use in the future updates. And if you want to know even more about Rust, then here are 20 of the most essential Rust keybinds that will definitely improve your game. I guarantee you won't know all of these, even if you are a more experienced player.